So we are starting a new LGBTQI plus queer T'Shuvah group
I'm
this
super
week.
excited about it.
Me too. So for those people who don't know what a T'Shuvah group is, right? So a T'Shuvah group is a group of people who come together to use the tool we've developed to really examine their week, examine their life. It is a tool to be more accountable, but also to find more meaning and more sustainability in one's own recovery. Although you don't have to be an addict to be in recovery, of course. And it's a very powerful tool for people to be able to look at themselves and check in through different lenses and different questions we've developed so that they can have more insight, and by having more insight then having more abilities and more tools to choose their actions as they go forward in life. Would you say that's an accurate description?
That totally resonates for me. Um, Part of what I love so much about recovery group as someone who hasn't been in a traditional recovery space before is, you've said to me many times, if you're not in recovery, you're in denial. And what I love most about recovery group is that even though I haven't spent as much time in traditional 12-step spaces, I still found it to be a really emotional and heart opening space where I could really think about, what are the places where I'm addicted to certain responses in my own life. How am I addicted to being reactive rather than responsive, to anger, all those kinds of things. So I'm excited about this space, both for those who have spent more time in traditional recovery spaces and maybe want kind of a different lens on that process, and for those who haven't entered into the process yet to find a safer and braver space where they can really think about how to come into a new place in their lives. Will you tell everyone a little bit about who you are?
Oh, yes. My name is Rabbi Iggy. I am the founder of the T'Shuvah Center, which is a recovery spiritual community that we're building here in New York City. And I've been a spiritual counselor and a director of spiritual counseling for a few years. I used to work in LA at Beit Tshuva, for people who know that. And I am a cisgendered gay male who really has spent a lot of time thinking about what that means to me and how that relates to spirituality, how that relates to my Torah, how that relates to my brokenness, my own brokenness, and how being both gay and a spiritual person, I'm spending a lot of time thinking about the space that is occupied between the different parts of my identity, the hyphenated identity that I have, that space between the hyphens, between gay, father, partner, rabbi, teacher, son, all these different parts. I really want to spend some time thinking about how those are related to each other. How about you, Rachel?
Thanks for asking. I love that answer. So I'm Rabbi Rachel Grant-Meyer. I am a female and femme identified queer rabbi in Brooklyn. And the majority of my rabbinic career has been spent doing professional Jewish social justice work. Right now, I work with an organization on refugee and asylum seeker issues. But in terms of coming into this space, I feel really strongly that in addition to doing the hard work of healing our world and healing our communities and healing systemic injustice, the only way we can really do that work is if we come to that work as, of course, the broken people that we are, but broken people who are also working on healing ourselves. And that social justice work is so much stronger and so much more effective when we're also thinking about the ways that we ourselves are broken and the places where we ourselves need to do healing, so that we're not just focused on sort of the bigger collective, but also the people who make up those systems. So that's really where my interest in this space lies, and figuring out, what's the path forward for all of us and for each of us.
That's very cool, and I love that work. And when we were talking about this, for those people who are watching, why is it important to us to create this LGBTQI plus queer space for the T'Shuvah group?
So for me, it feels important to have a space where everybody is welcomed and celebrated and honored, where it's not that someone is tolerating someone else, but where really everybody is welcomed in the fullness of who they are. And I think also, you and I have had a lot of conversations about what it means to create support systems when you're a queer person. And that for so many queer people, the sort of traditional support systems of, a nuclear family or even an expanded biological family or family of origin, let's say, are inaccessible for whatever reason. And that in queer community, we have chosen family, right? That's really important. And so being able to think outside of the box in a recovery process about what are the tools at our disposal, who are our communities, feels incredibly important to me. And having a place where we can talk about that together and where our queer identities are so much a part of how we understand our recovery process in a really explicit way feels incredibly important to me.
Yeah, I agree with that
You.
100%. And I think that sort of there's so many things that um, are common to recovery and people who seek meaning and the spiritual journey and all that for sure. But I also think that they are, of course, sort of these very specific issues that we as queer people or as LGBTQI plus people, whatever we choose to identify, is unique to us, and things that sort of that is unique to us within the recovery space, is unique to us within the conversational space, and definitely unique to us within the Jewish space. I'm excited to create a space where people can really bring all of those to the room without needing to say, "Oh, I can't bring this part of my life because they won't understand this or won't understand that." And I'm excited to create a place where we can bring our whole selves, as you just said, right? And we say at Tshuva Center all the time, "I don't need you to fit in. I want you to belong."
Love that.
Um,
Oh, I feel like we should just explicitly say also that, like, if someone's still thinking like, okay, that's all really lovely, but like, again, rabbis, who is this space really for? This space is for anybody who identifies as LGBTQI plus, and for allies as well, right? Folks who are interested in being in an explicitly queer space.
Absolutely. And people who are perhaps, right, sort of on the journey, right? They're on the train, but they don't know where they're going to take the stop, right? And I think that's really important, right? So this is, as we said, this is for people who are in recovery or even starting their journey on recovery, or maybe perhaps even queer people who haven't started the journey recovery, and this will be their foray into it, and they want to learn more in a nice environment that allows them to express themselves. So this is for a lot of people, as long as, of course, as we keep saying, we really commit to a conversation. We commit to seeing each other, and we commit to treat the world with compassion and not just with our own judgment, whether to ourselves or towards others. And that's important for us.
Absolutely. And I would say, in addition to queer folks who are sort of starting the journey into recovery, for folks in recovery who are starting the journey into a queer identity, a trans identity, any kind of LGBTQI plus identity, this is also a safe place to explore that.
That's right. Well. So whether you are 18 or 81, you are welcome to join us. Rachel, thank you so much. I think that gives a lot of information to people, and we'll see people Mondays at 5:30. The link to the group is on the platform you're watching this on, but it's also on our website, tshuvahcenter.org. You can register there, and we will send you an email with the Zoom link and the password. We hope to see you there. This will be really fun. Awesome. Thanks, Rachel.
Excited. Thanks.